Do you love the look of high-end home decor but not the price tag? Today I'm sharing 10 incredible DIY home decor ideas that will transform your space on a budget. These designer dupes are perfect for 2025 and focus on one of those hottest trends, stunning vases and elegant bowls. Trust me, they are a game changer. In this video, you'll see how easy it is to achieve a high-end aesthetic in your home without breaking the bank. From timeless vase designs to statement bowls, these projects are simple, affordable, and guaranteed to elevate your decor. Whether you're a DIY pro or just getting started, these ideas are perfect for bringing the designer look into your space. These pieces are not only budget friendly but also completely customizable, making them the ideal way to add your personal touch while keeping up with this year's trends. Plus, they're so versatile you can use them anywhere in your home, from living room to your dining table. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more DIY projects that bring high-end style into your home for less. Let's jump right in and create some designer-inspired magic. Projects. The first project that I'm going to be creating, I have a tremendous savings here for you. I did pick up this vase for $5, but this is not the item that I'm going to be duping. Over on Pottery Barn, I had found this vase, this look actually, the vase with hydrangea bundle, and the hydrangea bundles here is $70. But I really love this whole look, and that's what I'm going to be recreating. So as you can see, my vase was a little bit taller and a little bit thinner, but I think I can achieve that same look. Now for the hydrangea flowers, I did get mine out of the garden, and if you let your hydrangeas dry in a vase, they will get that dusty green look to them a little bit, and they do last for quite a while just sitting in a vase with no water or anything like that. But I did look over on Amazon, as well as I've seen a couple of the one Timu had a few for a lot less than $70. I think the most expensive one was on Amazon Canada for about a 40, but you get a much larger bundle. So look around your garden. You might find the fall foliage that you like, and it looks really nice in your vase. So to get this vase painted, I am going to be, so as you saw, I mixed white and creamy color paint. This is chalk paint, so it's a lot thicker. I was going to add flour to it to make it even more thicker, but my cream colored old ochre chalk paint was pretty dry, so it was actually quite thick, as you can see. The reason why I mixed the two colors is because the old ochre was too yellowish, and the white was too bright. So I just wanted to kind of tone down the brightness of the white. So that's why I mixed them. And I am applying a fairly thick layer because I want that thickness to show in the vase. So I forgot to mention that I will leave the links to the Amazon hydrangeas that I found in the description box in case if you wanted to venture out and get some for yourself. Also Dollarama, if you're located in Canada, I've seen hydrangea flowers there as well. I've never seen them at Dollar Tree, but definitely at Dollarama. At Michael's store, I did not see that color, although I do know that my mother-in-law had gotten herself some hydrangeas like that a while back, so it's worth looking into it. I was just checking on the website. I think making over vases is one of the most affordable ways to add those look for less high-end dupes to your decor, because they tend to be a lot cheaper at thrift stores, and usually you can find the style of them like the high-end stores have them, and with a little bit of paint you can achieve that high-end look. So right now I am just trying to blend, so there's none of the brush strokes are showing, and I'm just using a crafter sponge to do that. Since I like to show you everything, I will show you this step as well, but I do find that this did not really add much to the vase. I wanted to just darken the certain spots just a little bit, but I didn't want to go too much with this brown because I feel like it has a bit of a purplish tinge to it. So I went really, really lightly just to dab on, but you can completely skip this step if you wanted to and just move on to the next step. And the next step is optional as well. If you want, you can just leave it at this point, or you can go and get some dirt and get dirty. My camera ran out of space, my card, so I had to resort to my phone. So here we are. So all I take is before the vase completely dries, I just add some dirt to it, sprinkle it. You want this to be, for this particular project, you want the dirt to be dry. I've done projects where the dirt is wet and then it just kind of paints everything, but then you can't sprinkle it on and the vase has to be dry. So I let this dry completely, and then once it's dried completely, I take a brush and I just brush the dirt off and kind of try and blend it in a little bit. And that's it. And now I went out to my garden and clipped some hydrangeas, added them to my vase, and here it is on my shelf. I think it turned out so nice, and I think it's a pretty close dupe for the one at Pottery Barn and for a lot less. So for my very first DIY, I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree bowl. I picked this up right around Valentine's Day. I really love the shape of it, how wavy it is, and the size was pretty good as well. And then I was browsing, actually watching Shop With Me videos from Olive Atelier, and I came across one that had a similar shape. I did love the way that looked, so I thought I recreated. Now these are dupes. These are not going to be exactly like the original pieces, but I am more using these pieces as my inspiration. So I wanted to add some texture to this bowl as well, not just the paint. So I mixed up some of this beige paint that I had left over from a project that I did last year, and I added some flour into it, quite a bit of it, made it really thick, and this gave it a lot of texture. I painted the inside first, and then I flipped it over and painted the outside. So while I'm painting this, I wanted to talk to you guys about where I've been and what I've been up to. So back in January, I posted a craft room makeover video, and I have been back at it making over my craft room simply because I needed to create some storage for all the overflow of daycare stuff that I have accumulated again, and I had to pare down some of the craft supplies. But to be honest with you, there was a lot of stuff that I knew I just wasn't gonna use because I've been either had it for way too long and never ended up reaching for it, and or just my style has shifted in a different direction and it was time to let it go and maybe have someone else enjoy it. So I did donate a lot of my decor pieces that I, like I said, haven't been reaching for, to Goodwill, and also my mother-in-law took some, my sister came and took some. So lots of new homes for the decor pieces, and they did not end up in a garbage. And I did the same thing with some of my craft supplies. I did repurpose some of them for the daycare DIYs, well, daycare crafts, or even sensory bins that I could, and then the rest of the stuff was donated. And now I am just taking my time in organizing everything, just making sure that everything has its home. So that way, when I am putting stuff away, I know exactly where it goes, especially the daycare supplies and bins and all that stuff. So while I was doing that, I did completely dismantle my craft room again and had to put it back together. So I had no space, no area where to do DIYs. So I'm back at it again. The space is not perfect by any means. It is a work in progress, but at least I have space to do my own DIYs. So just so you kind of know what's been going on, and I did take the Easter weekend off as well, just to relax and kind of decompress. So once the bowl was all painted up, I did let it dry a little bit, not completely, just because I needed some of that beige paint for blending. And then I took my craft sponge and I added some water to it, made it nice and wet, and then I added a couple different paint blobs to my tray. There was iced cappuccino, there was black, and then I think I was going to do a bronzy color as well, but I did not end up using it because I just had no use for it. I was thinking about adding gray into it, but changed my mind. But I did have to go and add a little bit of white just because I was finding that the black was a little too dark. So it did make a little bit of a gray paint, but I ended up blending it with a lot of the beige that was left in there and the iced cappuccino. So then it wasn't as gray as it started off with. So I hope you guys like I said, like this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you are enjoying it so far. Now, one advice that I can give you with this sponging technique is blend, 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 and blend as much as you want until you achieve the look that you're going after. I love the way this turned out. I love all the texture, and let me show you how I style it in my space. For my next DIY, I am using a thrifted vase. I picked this up a long time ago. I've been using it around the house decorating, but I was just finding that the clear glass wasn't really working for me. To add to it, I'm going to be adding some of this rope, and I'm going to be again using the same beige paint that I used for the first project. I'm using that paint for all the projects that I'm making right now. I do love the lip on this vase, and I thought it would be perfect for what I had in mind. You've probably seen all of these vases if you do check out Olive Atelier. He has a ton of vases, a ton of vessels, and some of them have this rope design on them. Anyways, it looks like a rope design. Now, if I had to do this all over again, I would probably try and use a thinner rope. However, I had this rope, I had thicker rope, and then I had a really thin rope, nothing in between. So I made it work with this one, but like I said, if I was to do it again, I would probably try and get a bit of a thinner rope, maybe a little bit thicker than a twine, but not as thick as this one. And this one isn't even the thickest rope. I don't even know what kind of rope this is. Jute rope. So anyways, just an FYI, if I was to do it again, I would probably use a thinner rope. I'm spacing this out, kind of eyeballing it, not really any rhyme or reason how I'm spacing it, because I do feel that all of the pieces that he does sell appear to be handmade. So and we know that handmade products aren't in perfect shape or perfect spacing or perfect color or anything. They have a lot of imperfections. It's what makes them so great. So that is what I was going for right here as well. And like I said, I will include as you saw, include the kind of inspiration pieces for my project, so that way you can see where that ideas came from. So once I added all the rope that I intended to add, I proceeded to painting this piece. Like I said, I am using that beige paint that I had painted the first project. Now that this beige paint, I just picked it up at Lowe's. It was I was looking for beige paint, and I came across it at their discount shelf because I guess it was mixed up wrong. So I went ahead and just picked it up because I just use this as base coats for most of my projects. And the brush is just a normal brush that you would buy at Lowe's, nothing special. And I'm going to give it a one coat, and then I'm also going to paint on the inside a little bit. I always find that with glass vases, if you can almost never have a solid enough coat, because there's always that see-throughness if the inside isn't painted as well. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I found that even with painting and with chalk paint, it always looks like you can see through it. So I like to add a little bit of paint on the inside. Now, I didn't go into detail and paint the whole inside. Primarily just around the opening is where I've kind of concentrated the paint on. So once I finished painting it, I did let it dry completely before I went ahead with the next step. And for the next step, I am going to use some dirt and a paint in kind of a sage color. The paint in sage color will be just to add a little bit of kind of like a mossy green look to it, because I do find that a lot of these vessels, when you find them, they almost look like they have a little bit of that mossiness on them, especially the ones that some of the ones that he has in his store. So I wanted to kind of recreate that look. So all I'm doing is adding dirt and rubbing the dirt on it. Now, I did not want to do this when it was completely wet because I was worried that the paint was going to just come right off. It was coming a little bit off anyways, just from rubbing, but I was worried that if it was completely wet, that it would have came off. So this gives it I think when you do it with a wet paint and you add the dirt and you let it dry, it's a lot darker look, where I was going just more of a dirty look here. So this is the paint that I am going to use, and it has a bit of a suede texture to it. And I just put it a little bit on a paper towel, and I'm dabbing it into dirt just to pick up some of that dirt as well into it, and then just dabbing it into areas where the paint kind of came off. So I'm applying a heavier coat, and then I'm just going to blend it out all throughout the rest of the vase. So here it is, and I'm going to show you how I am styling it. I think this will go really well with the rest of my decor. The last piece that I'm going to be working on is this pot, and I got this last year during the thrift store's garden center in spring when they opened it, and they had this, and my intentions were to put some lavender in it. However, never got around to doing it last summer, and it's been sitting on my shelf, and I absolutely love the little detail that it has on top and on the bottom, and I really wanted to kind of bring that out a little bit more than what it was showing here. Originally, I was going to do something different with it. Then I was going to leave it as is because it wasn't a bad color, but it was just when I tried using it in my decor, I couldn't make it work with anything that was in my house. So off on a shelf we went until I figured out what I was going to make with it. This shape is not necessarily like any shape that I saw on the website, but it is the finish is very similar to some of the flower pots or pots, urns that he had in his store, so I went with that. Now, right now at on the website, you can't actually see any of the products because I guess they open it up at shopping at certain times. So I just searched up shopping videos on YouTube and or Instagram. Anybody that had tagged the product, I would search it up. So that's how I came across some of the items that had given me the inspiration. So as you can see, I am painting this again with that same beige paint. I did use the paint that I painted the first DIY with, and I just added, so there was some flour in it, and I added a little bit more paint, so it wasn't as thick as the bowl, but it was still had a little bit of texture to it. And it's just nice when I go in with the next paint, it will pick up some of that texture and kind of bring it out more, and that is what I wanted here. Now again, I will let this piece partially dry before I move on to adding more paint to it. Now again, with the next paint, it will be pretty much the same combination of paint as the other one, but I am using paper towel instead of the sponge, and you will see how different that will make it, because it's just different blending technique, and I'm focusing more on certain color versus the other color, whereas over there I went more with black and little less brown, whereas here I'm going to go more with the ice cappuccino, then the black, and then also adding the white. I did use the brush, as you saw, to get into all the little crevices, and I'm also adding a little bit of black in just some spots where maybe the paint didn't completely cover everything, and it just adds a little bit of dimension, I guess, to it. And I love the way this turned out. I love all the paint combinations on there. Like I said, again, blend, 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 and paper towel is a great tool to use for that. And let me show you how I styled it. I got this tree on Amazon, and it came with a really kind of a cheap pot, and I just elevated the look with a little bit of moss and this new pot. For this first project, I'm going to be actually recreating a look, and I'm going to be using this picture that my friend gave me, but she thrifted it for $6. And the look that I'm going to be recreating is from a Pottery Barn. I love the color of this vase, as well as those aspen tree branches. Now, as you can see, the tree branches are on sale for $45, but the vase is $212. So a little out of my price range. Well, not just a little out of my price range, a lot out of my price range, but I figured I could probably achieve the look with a little bit of creativity. So I'm going to start off by painting this picture. I originally was going to use acrylic paint, but the shiny surface I would have had to apply maybe a Mod Podge or something first, or so I've decided, after I saw that it wasn't really working, I've decided to just go ahead and paint it with some chalk paint, and I also added a little bit of flour to the chalk paint to thicken it even more, to give it that almost like stone look project. So I'm going to give this one coat first. I'm going to let this coat completely dry. As you can see, it is covering it, but it's still some of the stuff is showing through, so you'll definitely need one more coat after this one. So it's all painted, just adding finishing touches, and I did add a little bit of paint on the inside, especially the part that's going to be showing. So I'm going to let this dry. So it had time to dry, and now I'm going to add another coat of this chalk paint, and then I'm going to do another technique on it while it's still wet. I absolutely love doing any type of vase or pitcher, even like bottles, and make them over. Kind of do. I love doing makeovers because I think these items can be so expensive, and sometimes you can get similar look, sometimes even the same look for fraction of the price. You can find lots of different types of vases at thrift stores. Even dollar stores carry interesting styles of vases. I had a lot of success this year at garage sales, and it's just such an easy way to add high-end look to your decor. And with a little bit of paint, maybe a little bit of flour, a little bit of dirt, and you can create beautiful, beautiful pieces. So once it's painted, I'm going to add some to the same tray where I had my chalk paint, some chocolate brown acrylic paint, as well as some black acrylic paint. And then I'm going to use my crafting sponge that's wet, and I'm going to just mix the paint, kind of dab it on all the paints that are in there, and go over the whole vase with this sponge, almost like blending all the colors on it. I did a similar project a couple weeks ago on a smaller vase, but it's just amazing to see how similar techniques give you such different results and looks. So I'm going to just randomly cover the vase with this paint. In some spots I went heavy with the one paint and lighter with the other. The others time I went the opposite, and sometimes I just went very light with both colors together. And it's important to blend it really well together so that way it looks like it's meant to be there. And then while the paint was still wet, after I was done sponging stuff on and blending it, I added some flour to it and just pretty much sprinkled flour all over the vase. It's okay if some areas you put more and some areas you put less, because you're going to be dusting the flour off once the piece is completely dried. I feel like the flour blends the color even more together, kind of ties everything in, and it gives it that stone aged look. So once it was completely dry, I just took a stippling brush, a brand new one, and just brushed most of the flour off. There was some stuff that stayed, and then I just took a rag and tried to rub a little bit off. You don't want to completely take it off, but you don't want big clumps because it will be falling off on your furniture while you're using it for decorating. And here is what the vase looks like, or the picture looks like, or completed with the branches in it. And here is to remind you what I was trying to recreate. So this would have cost me over $300 if I was to buy it as is on this picture, but mine came in under $10 with all the supplies that I used. For the first project, I'm going to be using this two-handled vase that I've had for a while. I already made it over once, but I felt like it needed another makeover. And the inspiration for this vase is coming from Olive Atelier. I am really liking the way these vases look, especially the medium size one. As you can see, these are $125, and all mine cost was a little bit of paint, which came probably under $1, since I already had the paints and I didn't use very much of it. So I'm going to use some acrylic black paint, some white paint, and I also I don't know why I picked up both black paints, but that was supposed to be a brown paint, chocolate brown, melted chocolate it's called. And then I'm also going to use my country gray chalk paint. Now, if I wasn't going to use a chalk paint, I probably would have mixed just some beige paint with some flour or baking soda just to give it that stony look for the vase. But my chalk paint's fairly thick, so it's giving me that chalky finish anyways, that resembles a bit of a stone finish. So I'm just going to use that, but you can totally make your own by mixing, like I said, flour or baking soda into your paint. And I'm going to cover this whole thing. This is going to be my base coat. I just want to have an even coat on this this vase. I will be using this same paint for blending as well a little later on. So once the vase had some time to dry, I didn't want it to be completely dry just for blending purposes, but just a touch of dryness on it so it's not completely wet. I am going to wet my paper towel and dip it in. I had mixed the chocolate white, and then I added some black, and I'm going to be dabbing this on and blending it all together. And you want to blend until it looks natural, so there's no like obvious lines or smears or anything like that. And then I'm going to be using also the base coat just to add more blending in. And this, I always say, you have your inspiration piece, you can adjust the color and the look of it any way you want. That's the beauty of creating something yourself, because you can totally get the colors to be exactly the way you want them to be, even though if you maybe did not love all the colors of the inspiration piece, when you're creating your own, you can add the colors that you want. I was going to wait to share these vases later on, but since I have used them in my fall decorating over on my home channel, I have gotten so many requests to share this video to get for you guys to get the idea the techniques that I used and how to do it yourself. So here we are, right smack in the middle of fall decorating video, the fall DIY videos, but that's okay because I'm going to style them with some fall florals, so it's going to be almost like a fall DIY, but it's something that you can use all year long. I did end up switching my paper towel for just a little rag that I was doing the same exact technique. I was just finding must have a really bad quality towels that were falling apart on me. And here is how the vase turned out. I absolutely love it. I think it gave it a whole new life without spending any money. It's almost like having a brand new piece of decor in my house, and again for free. And I'm going to show you, I did pair it with some fall florals from Dollarama, and I think it looks absolutely stunning. What do you guys think? For my next project, I'm going to be using this vase that I had thrifted for $5. I absolutely love the shape of it, and the inspiration for this project is going back to Olive Atelier again. And here is my inspiration. So my project cost me, my vase cost me $5. This one is 145, and I think the style of it is fairly similar, the shape, I mean. And I'm going to be using almost the same paints that I used previously, just because I kind of want to keep the same color palette for my vases, so that way I can pair them nicely together. So this pot is called Indo Pot Ringed, and on their website is $145. So mine, I am at, like I said, $5 plus some paint. Oh, and I'm also going to use a piece of rope that I'm going to be attaching with the hot glue gun, just to give it that ribbed effect that the other vase has. Now, the nautical rope that I had was fairly thick, and I didn't want it that thick, but the other rope that I had was a little too thin, so I took the nautical rope apart and used just one of the strands. Like I said, I'm using a hot glue gun to glue this on. And I'm not looking for perfection as far as the height goes. I think it did end up looking a little bit wonky, but that's okay. It's the imperfections that make these vases look absolutely stunning. So once it was all glued on and cured, which took no time at all, I took the same beige paint and I was going to put it on. Now, being that this is a clear vase, glass vase, the chalk paint alone wasn't enough, so I do end up mixing it with the flour, just to get a bit of more of a almost like a plaster texture, so that way when I'm going to be applying it, it will be very, very thick and chunky, which is what I was going for. And it, at the same time, it gave me the coverage that I was looking for. I have been loving decorating with vases in this last year or so, and I have been slowly adding more and more to my decor stash. However, I did lose two of them just this past season. One of them was a clay pot, and I got somehow water on it, and the bottom fell off. So, here is the close-up of how chunky that paint actually looks. So as I was saying, and so I lost the bottom of that vase, so it became pretty useless. And I was okay with not having the bottom because I don't typically put water in it anyways, just usually some fake florals, but it was very uneven, and I was trying to sand it to make it even, and it just wasn't working. And then the other one I dropped while I was trying to put it away. But I did come across a really good thrift store that carries lots and lots of different vases, and they are reasonably priced. I find that's a Goodwill. Their prices for vases are much better than our Value Village. Value Village, you're paying anywhere from like $7.99 and up, whereas I have found most of these vases for $5 and under. So a lot more reasonable, and the sizes are typically the same for the price difference. So as you saw, I did use some makeup applicator just to add a couple of the chunky parts of the paint on there, just because I was finding that the brush wasn't really getting them on there. So I'm going to allow this vase to dry completely before I move on to another step. So for my next step, I'm using thick black paint. I have thickened this black paint with a little bit of flour, and I just had it left over from a different project, so I was just dabbing that on, and I'm dabbing it on with a crafter's sponge that I have wetted, and then I'm going back into the same base coat paint and blending it in. I am not going to be using the brown and white paint for this project. I am also not covering the whole vase with the sponging technique. I am just doing it at random spots. That way it will make it a little bit different than the other one, and it'll give me the effect that I'm looking for comparing to the inspiration piece, and but it will still be very well matched with the other vase when I'm going in my decor when I'm decorating. And here is how it turned out. I am obsessed with it. I absolutely love all the texture on it and the fact that you can't even tell that that's an actual rope that's glued on there. And I love how it paired well with the little hay that's in there, the wheat. I keep calling it hay. And I love how it looks together with the other one on my fireplace. And if you want to check out any of my decorating videos, make sure you head on over to my home channel, which is linked down below. For my next project, I'm going to be making over these two vases. These actually belong to my mother-in-law, who has thrifted with the intention of getting me to make them over. I had finally gotten her to pick out what she wants to get done with them. So I'm going to give them a base coat just to have an even starting point. And I'm doing this the fastest way, which is spray painting it with this satin black spray paint. And here they are spray painted. That way I don't have any of those lines showing through. Then once inside and when completely dry, I mixed up some of that black acrylic paint with some flour just to get a lot thicker texture, because we are going to be trying to recreate this look from Pottery Barn. It is this Cortland vase from Cortland Vase collection. As you can see, it has a little pattern on it, and she really liked that pattern on this vase. So I'm going to try and create that with some luck. And she couldn't remember exactly how much she had paid for her vases. She believes it was $15 for both, and as you can see, regular price these are range from $112 to $141, but on sale is $78 to $99. So quite a bit of savings for her, $15, and then a little bit of paint that I have used. So like I said, I'm going to mix the black paint with the flour, so that way I can create that design that she is looking for. So one of the reasons why I have decided to spray paint that as well was because once I'm going to be creating the design, which I will be doing it with a pencil. You can do it with a chopstick, or one of those skewer sticks, or any thin object that can give you nice thin lines. I just had a pen on hand, so I am using that. But that way, when you are doing the lines underneath, it's not showing the original color. It is going to be that black base color that I spray painted on. I was working in section because I was worried that if I paint the whole thing all at once and go with a pen, that the first section would dry out on me. So here are the lines. I think that is looking pretty good. So I'm going to continue the same process for the rest of the vase, working in sections. So I am just finishing this here, and I will be doing the other one as well, the taller one, but I'm not going to bore you with the same process because it's exactly the same, but this way you can see how I did it for both of them. I think they turned out beautiful. Here they are all dried. She absolutely loved them. She loved the fact that they had so much character versus just a simple paint job. I paired them with some Timu branches, and I think they are going to be great on her fireplace for her fall decor, since I had inspired her to decorate her home for fall. And here is the final look. Again, for all these aged vases look so high-end and add a perfect touch of rustic elegance to any space. Whether you style them on a shelf, console table, or as a centerpiece, or a fireplace as I did, there's sure to be a conversation starter. Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Sonia, and today I'm super excited to be bringing you a video that I have been trying to make for a while. I just needed a lot of time because I knew it was going to take a lot of time to get this done. So we are going to be making some papier-mâché bowls, two different types of bowls. One, I'm going to use a mold type of thing, and the other one, I'm going to mold an existing bowl that I have. And the type of paper mache that I'm going to be using is equal parts of water and glue to toilet paper. I went out and bought loads of toilet paper. I did only end up using 4 rolls altogether for the 2 projects, and I had a little bit left over. But this was very simple to do. Pretty much everything was on hand. I have a big jug of school glue from my daycare, so I was able to use that, and then water and obviously toilet paper. And I just bought the cheapest toilet paper at the supermarket. So you want to mix all of this together and to create almost like a clay type of consistency. And you don't want it to be too wet. If it's too wet, you might want to drain some of the water off. I also want to mention that today's video is in collaboration with one of my best friends here on YouTube as well as in real life. Sandra, she just lives a couple streets over from me. We used to live on the same street, and her channel is DIYs at the Schwarman's Nest. So me and her were talking about how we wanted to try out some of these papier-mâché projects that you see all over the high-end stores, and they're quite pricey. You can even buy some off of Etsy, and but I just thought that I could definitely make this out myself for a lot cheaper. So here are some of my inspirations that I'm going to be trying to recreate. And like I said, I'm using toilet paper, glue, and water. I think Sandra might be using a different type of papier-mâché materials, so make sure you check out her channel. Like I said, her channel will be linked down below. That way you can get a couple different ideas on a couple different things you can use to create our projects. So for my paper mache, like I said, I'm using toilet paper and glue and water, and you just want to kind of get that clayish consistency. You want it to be wet, but not like dripping wet. The toilet paper does dissolve quite quickly, so you will be able to see how much of it you actually need. And keep mixing it until you reach that paste consistency. For my first project, I'm using this bowl to create a mold, and I'm going to add some clear cling wrap onto it, but I did have to use a little bit of tape just to keep it in place because I did find that it was moving for me a little bit too much. So I guess you could probably use parchment paper too, but I'm pretty sure you would have to tape that up as well. And this did give it a little bit of more of a smoother finish on the inside. I do want to mention that if you are planning on doing this project, give yourself at least week and a half for it to cure. Mine took about for this bowl, it took about a week. For the other one, because there were 2 steps to it, it took a week and a half, and I did end up having to put it in the oven to cure as well for about 40 minutes while it was running at 200 degrees, and then I let it just sit in it until it was until I was ready to use it. I turned off the oven, so it sat in a warm oven for a couple hours. Now, when I'm creating this bowl, I wanted one side to be a little bit longer or taller, and the other side to be a little bit shallower. So that's why you have two different sides. And you can, don't worry about being perfect on the edges, because you can always cut them down, sand them down a little bit to the size that you need it, or to have it as clean cut as you want it. So here is what mine look like all finished, and you just want to cover all the spots so you don't have any holes. And now it's time to dry. So while that's drying, I'm going to be working on this bowl. I've had this bowl for a very long time. It kind of got damaged over the years, so I'm just giving it a good cleanup, and I'm going to cover it up with the papier-mâché. I'm not creating a mold, so I don't need to put any cling wrap onto it. I'm just going to start adding papier-mâché, spreading it out, and making sure that, especially on the inside, all the areas are covered. You kind of want to make sure all the there's no holes in it, whether it's on the inside or the outside. And if you want to smooth it out a little bit more, you can always wet your hands and go over it with a wet hand more. I was okay with having it look a little rougher because I was adding some antiquing wax to it, so I wanted to bring out the roughness out a little bit more with the antiquing wax. I did work on the inside and the top first, then I let that dry, and like I said, it took I waited for about a week and a day, and it was still a little wet on the inside, but I was able to flip it over because the top was dry, and then I worked on the bottom part of it, and that took a couple days. There was just a small amount of stuff that I had to add, and it took, like I said, 3 days in, it was still wet, so I did end up putting it into the oven at 200 degrees, and I let it cure for about 40 minutes, and then I turned the oven off and just left it in there for a couple hours until I was ready to add some antiquing wax to it. So this is what the other side looks like, and I'm working on covering that up. And I also have a couple spots left that need to be covered up as well, because it was kind of hard to flip it over without damaging the parts that I had covered before it got dry. So I'm just going to cover those up now. And I'm not gonna lie, this DIY was very, very relaxing to me to make. I quite enjoyed just molding it and working smoothing out all the areas, and it's just, I found it very, very relaxing. is all done, and now I'm going to let that cure for a couple days. And while that's curing, this one had cured and it's dry. So I'm just going to cut off some of the parts that are kind of sticking out. I still want to keep the roughness on it. You can even smooth it out by sanding it a little bit if you want more of a smoother look. I'm going to add some paint, very watered down paint, because my paint was dry. So I just added some water to it to loosen it up, and it's just a light beige color. This part can be up to you how you want to paint it, or even add some wax to it. Really, you can go gray, make it look more a little bit like concrete. Totally up to you. I'm going to go with more of a antique look by adding, like I said, some of this beige, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit of dark wax just to add a little bit of character to it. So I was trying to cover up as much of that white because I really didn't want too much of it showing. So I did use, as you saw, a brush as well as a sponge just to blend everything in and get into all the little crevices. I am so happy with the way this piece turned out. It's so unique and one of a kind, and I can't wait to use it in my decor. I think it's gonna look really good with some little fillers in there, maybe a little bit of potpourri, or even a nice candle to sit on it as a base or a cover for the candle, as a tray, I guess. For the bowl, I have decided just to use the wax, the Annie Sloan dark wax or antiquing wax, and I did go with a brush first, and then I do move on to the sponge as well, and I am applying lots at the beginning and then just trying to spread that all out. And then I'm going to go with a sponge and just accent a little areas where there's like a clumping of the papier-mâché, just to make that pop out a little bit more. I did end up using this wider brush. I just think it made the job go a little bit faster. And I think the Bristol brush, a little chippy brush, would work well as well. So the inside is almost done, a little bit more blending, and now I'm going to do the outside. really do love the way this was shaping out. And like I said, you can do this any way you want. You can leave it just white. You can paint it one solid color. You can use a couple different colors and blend to make it more like a concrete look. The world is your oyster how you want this to turn out. I went with more of this look because it kind of goes well with my current decor. And that's it. 10 incredible high-end home decor dupes that are easy, affordable, and so on the trend for 2025. These DIY vases and bowls are such a great way to bring designer style into your home without the hefty price tag. Let me know in the comments which project was your favorite and if you're planning to try any of these ideas yourself. I love hearing your thoughts and seeing your creations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps get these ideas out there. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss more DIY projects and budget-friendly ways to elevate your home. Coming up, I'll be sharing even more high-end dupes of this year's newest decor from high-end stores. If you love staying on top of latest trends while saving money, you won't want to miss it. Thanks so much for watching and see you in my next video. Bye for now.